All right, this is probably one of the most useful math units you're ever going to encounter because it has to do with buying a home, owning a home, things like that. And I know that for the most part, we don't have a lot of experience with this. We don't know a lot about this. So the information here, of course, you're going to need to know it for tests, but it's also information you're going to want to have as you move on in your life. Okay? So today's lesson is about mortgages. Mortgages are because we don't have enough money to buy a house just right off the bat. Okay? Most people need to borrow money. A mortgage is a way to borrow money for a house. Okay? Most of the time, the most expensive thing you ever buy is a house. And the reality is house prices are not going down. They are going up. They are expensive. Okay? And so what we do is we try to find a way to borrow money from a bank to pay for it. So this is what that lesson is about. Couple of pieces of vocabulary. You need to know what these words are. You need to kind of make them part of your vocabulary. And some of them you've probably never seen before. For example, an amortization period. All right, the amortization period is the length of time in years you will need to pay off a mortgage. Okay, so for example, most common, if you take out a mortgage for a house, it's amortized over 25 years. In other words, you're giving 25 years to pay off the house. Okay, that's the typical amount that you use. All right, what is equity? Equity is the portion of the value of your property that you own. In other words, what you've paid off already. Okay, not what you still owe the bank, but what you've already paid off. Okay, next, interest. Interest is the cost to borrow the money. This is the money you're going to pay the bank for the privilege of them paying for your house up front. Okay, we'll talk a lot about that in this unit. The principal, this is the amount you initially borrow. Okay, how much you borrow from the bank to pay off the house. And the down payment is how much of the money you already have, the upfront payment. This is your saving that you put towards paying for a house. Okay, so let's look at some questions. Example 1. You take a mortgage for $75,000 from a credit union at 6.75% for 25 years. So amortized over 25 years. This is the interest rate. This is how much interest you're paying. That's a ridiculous number right now. If you go to a bank right now, you're probably going to pay about 2% interest. Bank rates are really low right now. Okay? So how do we do this? How do we find the monthly payment? Well, you should use, for this, we're going to use what we call an amortization period table. Now, if you went into a bank and you said, look, I want to borrow this much money at this rate, they will tell you what the monthly payments are. You don't have to calculate this, but it's useful to have an idea. Okay, so what we're going to do is, I've got them posted here. The amortization period is table 6. Okay, and it says the interest rate we have is 6.75%, and we are amortizing it over 25 years. So if I put those two together, I get 6.85. What's that mean, 6.85? This is the payment of the principal and interest per 1,000 of the loan. Okay, so here's what we're doing. It says we're paying $6.85 for every $1,000 of the loan, and this is per month. Okay, now the loan is $75,000. So if I put this in the calculator, it tells me that I am paying $513.75 per month. Now, just so you understand what that means you're going to pay $513 a month for 25 years to pay off $75,000. Okay? Let's check out the next one. You have a mortgage for $145,000 and mortgage for 20 years at 5.25. Okay, so again, we have to go to the table. Let's get rid of this stuff. And it says that the interest rate is 5.25. Okay, and it's for 20 years. So if we put those two together, you get 6.71. So 6.71 out of 1,000 times 145,000. Okay, and this is $972.95 per month. Okay. What is the interest for the first month? Well, how do we do interest? Well, and it's only for 1 month. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to say, let's take $5.25%, so 5.25% of $145,000. Okay, but that would be how much interest it would be in a year. Okay, interest rates are always given in a year. So I'm going to divide this by 12 because I want to do it per month. Okay, so I'm going to do 5.25 out of 100 divided by 12 times, because that's what of is, times 145. Okay, and that is $634.38. Now, just a quick look at that. So if you're paying $972 a month, $634 of it is interest. Okay, you're not that's not paying off your mortgage. That's just paying the bank to have the right to let them give you their money. Okay, interest is a painful thing. Costs a lot to borrow money. Okay, example 3. What's the payment on the principal if the total payment per month is $361.80 and the interest payment is $200? Okay, so this is the total and this is the interest. So if I go $361.80, take away $200, what do I get? I get how much is paid towards the principal. Okay, so total take away interest equals principal. Okay, so anytime you have a mortgage payment, your principal plus interest make up the payment. So some of the money is going towards the principal, some is going towards interest. If you add them up, you get the total payment. So this way, when we were given the total payment, we were trying to find out how much we paid towards paying off the mortgage. All right. Another one. Let's go to the table again. So this time we're looking at 4.25. We're looking at 20 years. So that's going to be 6.17. So 6.17 out of 1,000 times 155. So our monthly payment is $956.35 per month. How much do you pay the bank back after 20 years? So here's what that's asking. It's saying if we're paying this per month, $956.35 per month, so that means we pay that 12 times in a year, and we do it for 20 years. How much are you actually paying? That means you pay this much for this much. You're borrowing $155,000, but you're actually paying $229,000. Now, if that seems painful to you, yeah, it is. You're paying a lot of interest. You're paying a lot of money to have the right to borrow the money from the bank. But the reality is, not too many of us can save this kind of money in advance. So we need to borrow money from the bank to do it, and that's what the cost of interest is. Okay, what is the amount of interest you pay on this mortgage? Well, what is the interest? If I pay $229,500 $524, but it was only $155 to start with. That means that's how much I paid in interest. $74,524 in interest. It's a lot of money. All right, there's your first lesson. I'd like you to do assignment 1, and then we will go over the next lesson after that.